Some heroes remain very powerful, standing above the rest in terms of raw strength, especially in the ranked environment. Here's 4 tips for 4 associated meta heroes that's sure to give you an extra edge, if you plan to make use of them in your Dota 2 MMR grind. By the way, I'd love if you'd give this video a thumbs up and a follow. It helps me tremendously with my content. Most people who have frequented Hoodwink are well aware on how she's able to use her abilities, or any associated items on her during her ultimate. But there's a very neat trick that can be done with her Acorn Shot into Bushwhack combo. One of the most common things that can happen against clever players with a Quelling Blade is that they'll cut the tree from Acorn Shot before Hoodwink's net arrives to latch them into it. This combo has you throwing her Bushwhack net before the Acorn Shot is even fired, whereafter the shot will connect just before the net lands, which will result in a guaranteed stun. This combo is effectively possible after level 3 has been attained, assuming that 2 points have been put into her Acorn Shot and 1 point has been moved into her Bushwhack. The combo is only amplified even further if you use the extended range that her Scurry now provides for her entire kit. By shooting the Acorn Shot at the edge closest to Hoodwink of where the Bushwhack lands, you can very reliably land a full range stun, although it's not something that can be done at close range because you need the full travel time of the net to connect. It's a trick shot that takes some time to get used to, but your Hoodwink will rank up significantly once you can pull it off reliably in your pubs. I've done quite a bit of coverage of Visage as of late, and why not? He's an extremely powerful hero that's well worth investing time into. Not to mention that it looks quite unlikely that Valve is going to nerf him, compared to a lot of other very strong meta heroes right now. There is a trick that I've been making great use out of, or rather, a big knowledge buff that by far most of the player base is unaware of. I know I was before I started spamming him. Visage's Gravekeeper's Cloak works by generating charges after they've been chipped off. When Visage takes a certain amount of damage, he loses a charge of his cloak, which will result in subsequent attacks dealing more damage to him. His familiars also benefit from this passive, assuming they're in range of him. That said, the key difference is that unlike Visage, their Gravekeeper's Cloak never goes down. Ever. This effectively means that assuming Visage is within Gravekeeper's Cloak's effective distance with his familiars, they take 80% less damage at all times. This lets you do some particularly cheeky plays with the hero, from chipping away comfortably at tier 3 towers to tanking entire Snapfire barrages without the birds even being close to dying. If you've ever found that Visage bird simply refused to die, it is because he was nearby and making them take an entire 80% less damage from all sources. Hailed as one of the strongest offlaners and heroes in general this entire meta, Death Prophet, as simple as she is, does have a few tricks up her sleeve herself. One of these tricks is a quite crucial one to know, since it can make a lot of difference between getting kills and destroying structures in a timely manner. When Cropulus activates her ultimate, her ghosts start floating around her. Any target she decides to set them upon, the ghosts will fly towards and deal their damage. With that said, before the damage is applied from the ghosts, they have to travel the distance from where they are to the target they need to damage. They effectively work much like projectiles from range heroes, albeit very slow ones. Because of how this ability functions, it means that Death Prophet's proximity to her intended target is very important. If you walk her up close to her target of choice, the ghosts will have a much shorter travel time to their target, which will result in them dealing much higher damage because they're able to go forward, return, before going forward again at a much greater pace, compared if she had stood far away from her intended target. When playing as DP, consider when it's safe to walk close to your target. If you're able to stand face to face with a tower directly, such as a tier 1 in an early game or tier 3 after a 1 team fight, you will significantly boost your damage by doing so. One of the carry heroes that's seen an increase in her pick rate and win rate as of late is none other than Medusa. She fell from grace after her rework, but due to her buffs are slowly making her way back up again. A very unique trick has been floating around as of recently, and while it might seem a bit gimmicky, it can be used to a crazy effect when done right. By picking the tier 1 item Safety Bubble, Medusa is able to achieve a physical barrier from it. This is something that happens to any hero in the game if they choose this item. But what makes it entirely unique on Medusa is how it works with her mana shield. Because Medusa takes 98% reduced damage to her health pool, it means that you effectively have to drain her entire mana pool before you can finish her off. This happens to work perfectly in conjunction with the barrier generated from Safety Bubble. Because damage is calculated on the mana shield before the Safety Bubble, Medusa's HP bar is effectively untouched. This results in a very unique interaction that is very similar to the hero Templar Assassin. Templar Assassin can have a blink dagger, and by method of using her refraction to negate all damage, she can blink around despite having been hit recently, because she's taken no damage to put a cooldown on her blink dagger. This applies to Medusa in the same way, but is based entirely on her mana pool being up. meaning that the hero is now able to have a blink dagger, and unless you burst her down entirely in one go, can blink away immediately if she wants to. This might sound bad because Safety Ball was a tier 1 item, but because you can shuffle items in and out of your inventory, you can really pull off some seriously powerful shenanigans with this one. Giving Medusa a blink dagger like this can be game breaking in certain matches. There's of course many more tricks for a lot of meta heroes. These were just some of the noteworthy ones I wanted to cover. I hope they'll be able to aid you on your quest for winning games and gaining MMR. If you want more educational content, my YouTube channel has a slew of videos covering heroes and concepts as well. Thank you for watching and good luck with the grind.